You are going to find 11 awesome roller coasters at the world's most beautiful theme park. But it's been since 2019 since the park announced its last major thrill coaster. So the big question is, when will we see Busch Gardens Williamsburg announce the highly anticipated follow-up to Pantheon? And how large will it be? And when will it open? What is going on? It's theme park Brandon here, and Busch Gardens Williamsburg is a really intriguing park because, as you see from the aerial maps here, there's really not a whole lot of room for them to expand from a whole new ground up coaster. But there is one spot that I'm keeping my eye on where they possibly could build a rather large coaster. With that being said, let's get into this. So starting off, the big question is, when will this coaster open up? And if you look at the past trends, I mean, Pantheon opened up in 2022, but it was built and ready for 2020, but COVID obviously had other plans for that ride. And then you saw the Dark Coaster open up, I think 24, and then Big Bad Wolf in 25. No, Dark was 23, Big Bad Wolf 25. So I don't think it's obviously not 26, obviously 27 possibly, but I think more than a new coaster, Busch Gardens Williamsburg needs a new flat ride or two for their park, a ride that's not a non-coaster ride. They definitely could benefit from a couple more of those in the ride's lineup, but I think 28 is the year that I'm really circling on my calendar as when I would expect a new coaster to open up at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. So that's at least exciting. I mean, I know it's kind of far away, but we just got Big Bad Wolf, which is a great family coaster. Not as good as the original, though. And then obviously Dark Coaster is pretty solid. But 28 is when it's going to be opening up. That's what I can see. But where can they build it? I mean, again, this park is stacked as far as the rides, how they integrate the coasters in the park's layout is really beautiful. In the center of the park, there's obviously no room at all. And outside of that, you have a few minor areas where they could build a smaller coaster. But the thing about Busch Gardens Williamsburg is you really can't take up any parking lot because the park doesn't offer that large of a parking lot to begin with. And then I don't know how much land the park owns south of the park, as you see right here. So it's a very tricky situation. They can't really build on top of the water. What is Busch Gardens' plan? Like, what are they planning on? How are they going to do this? So I think Big Bad Wolf was built where it was located for a specific reason. And the reason why is there's still a little bit of room out there behind this, I guess, maintenance building, or maybe it's a haunted house building. Wherever that building is, behind it is a rather large area. Now, what I don't know is the terrain in this area and if it's even possible to build a coaster on it. I really hope it is. But it is a decent sized plot of land for a few of the coasters that I'm going to be showcasing with you here in a few minutes. And then I'm going to actually give you guys a percentage as to what type I think the park will most likely go with as of now. So lots of fun things to get into. Now, if you're like me and you love Busch Gardens Williamsburg, then check out my Drachen Fire t-shirt here on Theme Park Brandon. As you see, the back has all the stats on it. I really do appreciate all the support. I also have some posters and some other pieces of merchandise. Again, thank you so much for all the support. Now, let's talk about what type of coaster. Now, the good news is Busch Gardens Williamsburg recently sent out a survey showcasing a mock striker coaster for the park. And I would love a ride like this at Busch Gardens. I would love to see what type of theme that they would give this ride, as well as the placement, how many inversions, how many launches. Europa Park opened up Voltron last year, and this ride is stellar. Everyone I talk to raves about how good this ride is. And I'm confident in enough of saying this, that if this ride was here in America, it would be a most of ours top 10, top 15. That's how insane this ride looks. So given the terrain here, the water area here, the water area around the terrain here, as well as potentially interacting with the water down below, there's a lot of cool things Busch Gardens Williamsburg could do with this style of ride. This, out of all three choices, is probably my second favorite out of the three, as far as what I think the park needs the most. But nonetheless, it's on the survey, so that's something that the park is eyeing. Doesn't mean it will be built, but this next one is I think it's another strong runner for potential. I hope they don't go this route due to capacity reasons, and I just don't think it's that popular of a ride, really. At least the buzz around it. And that is, what if Busch Gardens Williamsburg debuts a pipeline coaster just like SeaWorld Orlando did? I personally, I could see it because SeaWorld loves their B&Ms. They love the rattles. But I hope they don't. I mean, in the end of the day, what I really think Busch Gardens really needs to do is do what they did with Big Bad Wolf and bring back Drachen Fire in some way or another. Like, they have to. Like, the name, the theme, like, it is legit. Draken's Revenge or something. It could be anything. But if they would do something like that and build it back over in this area, which is kind of near, obviously, right next to where Drachen Fire was, the original, that would be legit. I can see a pipeline, but I think it's slim. Again, pipeline's fun, don't get me wrong, but horrible operations and just slow loading times. People don't like to stand up on rides. I just don't think that model is going to be that good or that successful. Now, this next one is what I want the most. And again, at the end here, I'm going to share with you my predictions as far as which I think is the most likely, not what I want the most. And that is a RMC hybrid coaster. It just makes sense, guys. Look at the data. Iron Gwazi is a people magnet. People go to Busch Gardens Tampa to ride the best RMC hybrid coaster out there, period. Some say Steel Vengeance, boo. Some say Area Force One. I mean, I can see that. Some say Wildcat's Revenge. Some people say it's Twisted Cyclone over Georgia. Not really. But my big point is if you like Steel Vengeance over, Iron Gwazi, I get it. I'm not going to judge you too much here. But if they would replicate the success Iron Gwazi gave Busch Gardens Tampa at Williamsburg, but throw in the terrain, a drop, just imagine this, a drop over the water there down the hillside, that'll be legit. I mean, there's so many cool things that RMC could do with this, and we know these models aren't that expensive, so it's not out of Busch Gardens Williamsburg's budget, which is fantastic news. But a ride like this would give Busch Gardens Tampa a top 10 worthy coaster, or Busch Gardens Williamsburg, I'm sorry. And Busch Gardens Williamsburg's always kind of been a park like Kings Island for me, where there's not one real standout. Like Pantheon is like the standout, but it's not like world-class top 10, top 20 worthy coaster in most people's rankings. I think having a ride like an RMC hybrid that's about the size of Iron Gwazi located back here would be legit and give Busch Gardens Williamsburg its #1 potential coaster that I think more parks should start going after. That is what I want. Now, as far as the rankings go, as far as the percentages, I should say, I'm going to give the Surf Coaster 20% chance of happening. Knowing SeaWorld, I think I love the parks. I hate the management. I hate how they do things. I can see them opening up something like Pipeline there and having horrible operations at a park that already has horrible operations. I can say the same for an RMC hybrid. So 20% for the Surf Coaster. I'm going to give hybrid 25%. I know, I wish it was higher. I really do. But as of right now, I think they're leaning on that Mack Rides Striker Coaster. And I can see why. Both rides will be phenomenal. And for that matter, too, the Striker, if long enough, it could very well be that top 10, top 20 worthy coaster for Busch Gardens Williamsburg, for sure. See, I have Tampa on my mind for Iron Gwazi. Dang it. The Striker Coaster, I'm going to give a 55% chance. I think Busch Gardens will get something like that for the park. What I like about the hybrid is the chain lift. If you look at Busch Gardens, outside of Big Bad Wolf, you had Tempesto launch, Pantheon launch, Dark Coaster launch. So it'd be nice to have another chain lift coaster, but again, there's a lot of things to like here. I'm very intrigued by the future of Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and I think you should be as well. In fact, in the video at the bottom of your screen is my 5-year prediction plan that I predict for Busch Gardens Williamsburg. So definitely check that video out. With that being said, what's your thoughts about the future of the park? What's your thoughts about my predictions? You know what to do. Let me know in the comments. This is Theme Park Brandon, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to smile today, think positive, and keep riding coasters.